John, Fix Bike. This is how to service the shock linkage on your 1994 through 2001 Yamaha YZ125. This linkage system rebuild includes your relay arm and connecting rod. This rebuild is shown on a 1996 through 2001 model where the connecting rod is a single part versus two separate parts in prior models. The service works for all years. The parts you will need for this service are a set of new bearings and seals. As always, parts and tools are in the description with links. You don't have to remove the swing arm, but it can make things easier, and I will cover that in a different video. You will need to remove the chain roller to remove the frame side connecting rod bolt either way. Your shock linkage is exposed to everything you ride through, so it may be completely corroded like mine, which you will see me fighting with later. The only specialty tool you will need is a bearing driver, which you can make with grade 8 hardware and sockets. When you see what I am using, you can easily recreate it. The shock linkage assembly is secured with 3 pivot bolts and nuts. Remove the middle bolt connecting the connecting rod and relay arm first to free up the other 2 bolts. As I mentioned earlier, you will need to remove the rubber chain roller to access the frame side connecting rod bolt. The relay arm bolt is behind the plastic caps on the swing arm. Since I am doing a complete rebuild on this bike, I have removed my swing arm, and it's just easier to show on camera. A quick finger check will tell you if your needle bearings need to be replaced. If they are anything but smooth and free rolling, they need to be replaced. Carefully remove the collars and seals to access the needle bearings. If, by some miracle, your needle bearings are in good condition, clean everything with solvent and dry with compressed air. Inspect the relay arm for cracks and check the pivot bolts for runout. Replace anything cracked, bent, or broken. The collars ride directly on the needles, so if they are anything but smooth, they need to be sanded smooth or replaced. Remove your old needle bearings. Assemble your DIY bearing driver with whatever sockets fit, and drive the bearings out of your relay arm. My needle bearing race was corroded into the relay arm, so I had to pry out the needles and then grind the bearing race down just enough to break it out, but not enough to damage the bearing race bore. This took me about a while, so take your time and be careful if you have the same issue. With your needle bearings successfully removed, clean and dry the relay arm bores. Install your new needle bearing. You need to start your bearing as flat as possible. I am lucky enough to have this gigantic 100-year-old bench vise, but you might have to get creative. Once you have your new bearings installed, use a socket that fits just inside the bore to center them in the relay arm. I don't know how, but the needle bearing for the connecting rod was in perfect condition, so I didn't replace it. If yours needs to be replaced, the procedure is very similar to the relay arm, except there are 2 needle bearings inside with a gap in the middle. Measure and record the bearing depth from each end before you start. You will have to drive both bearings out the same direction. Then you will have to install the bearings separately from each end, matching the depth you recorded before. Lubricate everything with way too much high-pressure grease. If you think you've used enough grease, add more grease. Be careful. The grease will stick to everything, and if you lift your finger off the needles, you will pull them out. So always drag your finger out of the bore. On the connecting rod, the gap between the needle bearings is there for a reason. More grease. I mean, just f*** it up with grease. With your bearings sufficiently greased, install the seals flush to the bore with a large washer. You will need to drive the seals into the bore, so be very gentle. Install the relay arm collars and secure the middle bore with a zip tie. Before you start bolting everything together, give your bolts a quick polish with 600 grit sandpaper and an impact driver. When installing the relay arm into the swing arm, make sure the angle faces forward. My swing arm is upside down on the bench, and orange tape marks the left side of my bike. When installing the relay arm bolt, a pair of long nose pliers is extremely helpful. Grease and install your bolt. Use your socket extension to hold the bolt in place as you flip your swing arm on its side. Use your long nose pliers and install the washer and nut. Torque the relay arm bolt to 59 foot-pounds. Grease the connecting rod bolt and install the connecting rod to your frame. Torque the connecting rod bolt to 59 foot-pounds. With your swing arm installed, grease and install the middle pivot bolt. Torque the pivot bolt to 59 foot-pounds. Thank you for watching. If you want to see the full unedited service done in real time from start to finish, I have a link to that in the video description. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.